How's it hanging, YouTube? This is King of Feral Limps, and today we're gonna Digivolve. And yes, I know everyone's kind of used that joke already with digital bugs, but they just remind me so much of Digimon, specifically Tentomon and Kabuterimon, which were a personal favorite of mine during the first series of Digimon. I don't know about you, but anyway, I'm gonna be covering digital bugs today. Now, this is a huge work in progress. This deck still needs some testing, and as you can see, this is on Dueling Network. The cards are very cheap, and I really, really love this deck. If by chance you happen to see like the top 5 decks that I'm excited to play in 2016, you'll know that Digital Bugs may or may not have been on that list. So, by the way, go ahead and check that video out. But I definitely do want to pick up these cards in real life again because they're cheap, and I have. Oops, sorry. I have the rest of the things that I would like to play, and I hope that doesn't sound too bad, but in editing, I'll know. So anyway, this Digital Bugs, I still have a lot of testing to do, and this is the build that I'm currently using, but who knows, maybe within a week I'll actually be able to get the real life cards and we can have a live action deck profile. And there'll probably be some changes by then, so I'm just going to go ahead and cover it, and I'm also going to talk about it. So, like the deck profiles that I've been doing on Dueling Network, voice crack, that I've been doing on Dueling Network recently. So I'm just going to go ahead and start this right off. First with Digital Bug Sentiment. Now, all of the Digital Bugs have the effect that they can't be used as Xyz material except for the Xyz summon of an insect monster, so very restricting, and it really does keep you to their archetype specifically. Sentiment specifically has the effect that once per turn, if it's faced on the field and it's changed from attack to defense positions, then you can special summon one level 3 insect type monster from your deck in defense position, and then all of the digital bug monsters have the effect that if they're used as Xyz material to Xyz summon a monster, which obviously it has to be an insect, it gains an extra effect, and the extra effect that Cenobit gives is that the Xyz monster summon can attack all defense position monsters your opponent controls once each. So Cenobit is actually really good. It's effectively a summoner monk for level 3 insects, and then it gives your Xyz monster what is it, an Asura priest effect. So that's a pretty good card, and of course, it is a bit of a wimp, and it can only be used for insect Xyz monsters, but it's really good. So this is one of the main things that can swarm your field, and then it gives a nice clearing attack, or a nice field clearing effect to your Xyz monster. Next one we're playing is 3 Digital Bug Cocoon Denser. Now, since this is the ghetto proxy server or whatever, the picture is not loading on DN, but this is what it looks like in case you want to know, in case you want the picture. It's basically just a little metapod. It's 0 attack, 2000 defense, which Cocoon Denser does have the effect that once per turn, while he's in attack position, you can target one level 3 insect type monster in your graveyard, change Cocoon Denser to defense position, and then special summon that monster. So it's very, very useful, and at least when you normal summon it, it's not going to be just left with that 0 attack. It switches to defense, and then you get to revive one of your insect monsters from the graveyard. So that's very useful, and there is a little loop that you can do with 2 of these for an OTK with Cannon Soldier, but that's something else. And then if it's used for Xyz material, that Xyz monster gains the effect that it gains an Armades effect if it attacks in a defense position monster. So far we've got the effects that you can attack all defense position monsters, and you gain immunity while doing so. And then the last digital bug is Digital Bug Web Soldier. The effect is that once per turn, while you can target one face-up attack position monster you control, change it to defense, and if you do, special summon one level 3 insect type monster from your hand in defense position. So this one's also pretty useful. It's kind of like a Goblinberg, but you don't have to target himself, but you can target himself at the very least. So you can go ahead and normal summon this, activate effect, target himself, change him to defense, special summon one level 3 insect from your hand, and then you can go from there. You can do some different things. If you summon a Cocoon Denser, then Cocoon Denser can also bring stuff out, and some other stuff from there. So this one, like I said, this one's kind of a Goblinberg, and the Xyz material effect that it gives is it changes the defense of all face-up monster your opponent controls to 0. So with this, you can go ahead and change all defense, make all defense position monsters your opponent controls have 0 defense. You gain an Armades effect when you attack them, and you can attack all of them. So that's pretty solid. However, there is no way to switch them to defense position. There's no digital bug for that. But there are some other ways that you can do that. I'm playing 3 Howling Insect. Howling Insect is very useful. It's a level 3 insect type monster that, when it's destroyed, it special summons any insect type monster with 1500 or less attack from the deck. So all of these qualify, even Centibit with the most, it even makes it in there. And the reason I'm using this is that you can pretty much summon these and you can get the effects off pretty not quickly, but it sets you up. So say you have this on the field, it gets attacked, destroyed. You can go ahead and special summon a Centibit in attack position, and then during your turn, you can go ahead and manually switch him to defense, and then trigger his effect to special summon another digital bug from the deck, say like Web Soldier or Cocoon Dancer, and then you can get your stuff off from there. So that's really useful. That's the reason I use it. From there, it goes into the Insector engine, which I'm using 3 Centipede, of course, and then 1 Dragonfly and 1 Hornet because that's how they are. And of course, since we're using Howling Insect, you can go ahead and summon Dragonfly, which is very, very useful. And then also let me mention that these guys can also summon Dragonfly, so that's very useful. And I don't remember if any of these negate the effects. No. So you can go ahead and summon Dragonfly off of that. Even though like this isn't specifically centered around Insectors, like it's a nice like little 6-card engine that you can play in the deck, and it just helps it out. It just makes a lot of things, well, not makes a lot of things work, but it's that added power, because we all know that Dragonfly is really good in combination with Hornet and then Centipedes too. So it becomes very useful, and then it can help you with like rank 3 Exceasing, and like it just works out pretty well. Like not saying that Insectors are revived by this, because it doesn't work out that the digital bugs are more support for Dragonfly. It's more that digital bugs are really good, or well, not really good. They're good by themselves, but you can go ahead and use Insectors and they'll add to it. It mixes relatively nicely. And then after that, just one tech Bachi, really weird name. It's got the effect that an Xyz monster Xyz summon using him as material gains the effect that it inflicts piercing battle damage to your opponent. So that's pretty useful, because then combining all of these, you get various effects. They can go to 0 defense, you get Armades, you can attack all of them, and it inflicts piercing. So if by chance you're able to get all of those off, then congratulations. You can kill your opponent if they have enough monsters. And then from there, just too honest, because all the digital bugs are light as well as their Xyz monsters, so you can inflict some pretty big stuff. And if you're playing more Bachis, then you can go ahead and cause some serious damage with honest. Or if not, like if by chance you can't switch your opponent's stuff to defense position, honest still helps, because the Xyz monsters can get pretty big. But you can definitely play more of this guy to help it out. Never thought you'd see the day that honest and Dragonfly are Insectors and honest are kind of commingling. And that's all for monsters. From there, for spells, I'm using a Foolish Burial. Only one, because you use the only target you have. I mean, like, only one is, and I'm only using Foolish Burial and not Mathmat, because all we ever want to ditch is Hornet, and there are other ways to get it out. And even if you happen to get into Hornet and then you get into your Foolish Burial, you can still kind of use it. You can use it on the one Bachi, so then you can summon him back with like a Cocoon Dancer or something else. From there, 1 Sword, because you can do some crazy things with Sword. 1 Raigeki to clear the board, even though you do get some nice effects by attacking defense position monsters. Like Raigeki still helps, because if you can get a good field, because like all of these, they can make some pretty big monsters. You can make like maybe a few rank 3s, and then clearing the board, you can get some nice attacks in. From there, destruction, as in 1 Twin Twisters and then 2 MSTs. MST is pretty helpful, especially if you're using like an Insector thing and you have to get rid of the monsters before you get rid of the back row, because that's what you might want to do sometimes. So this helps. And then Twin Twister helps, or isn't bad, because you can go ahead and discard a Hornet and it'll come back. It'll get the same effect. You can discard anything else, and then you can just bring it back with all of your revival. And then from there is 3 Verdant Sanctuaries now. For a while, actually, was it last year? No, it was like freaking 2 years ago that I was playing Verdant Sanctuary, Howling Insect, Insectors. And so it was pretty cool. And oddly enough, for as long as I played it, I never did a deck profile on it, but I'm kind of applying that same thing. So basically what Verdant Sanctuary does is, when a face-up insect type monster is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, its controller can add 1 insect type monster with the same level as the destroyed monster from their deck to their hand. So basically, if you have Howling Insect and Verdant Sanctuary face up on the field, Howling Insect gets destroyed, use his effect to special summon a Dragonfly, and then use Verdant Sanctuary's effect to add a Hornet. and then during your next turn you're all set up, and including a normal summon, so you can do some pretty crazy shenanigans there. And from here, if you end up going Howling Insect into Centibit, then Verdant Sanctuary can get a nice other. You can do a nice other thing with that. You can like add any one of these, and then that helps with your swarming, because they're insects. Or you can even add your Dragonfly, and then start to get things going with that. Or just straight up add your Hornet, have it for later. You can do some pretty neat things with this. This just helps so much because we're using the Howling Insect, so that combo is a real thing and it helps out. Like specifically, it's there for the Inzector portion because it's a 2-card setup for like Inzector stuff, and then on top of that, you still have your normal summon, which you can do some cool stuff with the digital bugs. And like I said, Howling Insect summon that, and then this can set you up with something else. Maybe even add that Bachi Bachi Bachi, and then you can that card is so weird to say. You can add the Bachi and get that effect. Like that's one reason why I'm only playing one, because on its own it doesn't do much. Like all the other digital bugs, they do stuff by themselves, so that's why they're worth playing. But I don't know, I may bring this up to 2, but you still have some good ways to add him. From there on to Trapstar, 3 copies of Bug Emergency. Now this is a really good card. It lets you target 2 level 3 insect type monsters in your graveyard, special summon them, but their effects are negated. And then it gets another weird effect. Well, not weird, but interesting, that you can banish this card and 1 Xyz monster from your graveyard. And from your graveyard, the levels of all level 3 insect type monsters you currently control become equal to the banished monster's rank until the end of this turn. So that's a different effect. And then also you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, except insect type monsters. You can only activate 1 Bug Emergency per turn. So this is crazy good. This is, what is it, the double-edged sword technique. So if you happen to have like a full graveyard, like the cool thing is that Centibit or Web Soldier or these guys are all 1-card Xyz basically by themselves. Well, okay, Centibit requires a little bit of setup, but for the most part, these are all 1-card Xyz, including the Dragonfly, so you can do some crazy stuff there. And then detaching the Xyz materials, you have one of this, it lets you repeat that basically. So that helps with all the Xyz stuff. And then from there, 3 Call the Haunted. If you're playing Howling Insect, Verdant Sanctuary, and Zector's, Call the Haunted is extremely important. Because you can do some neat things, because Howling Insect, Verdant Sanctuary basically let you set things up for free. Some cool things you can do are you can go off with your Dragonfly and your Hornet. You can do a bunch of stuff, and you can even Xyz into like a rank 3 with a Dragonfly and say like a Centipede or whatever else you have, and then you can detach the Dragonfly for that Xyz monster's effect, and then Call the Haunted, and then do it all over again. So congratulations. And then from there is 2 copies of Windstorm of Etika. Oh, that's actually Etika. Okay, Etika World Network. So what this does is change the battle positions of all face-up monsters your opponent controls. That helps because you can get stuff into defense position for the digital bugs now. There are a lot of different people are trying out so many different things to switch your opponent's monsters to defense position. I find that this seems to work the best just because it's a trap. Well, I mean, there are spell cards that do that, but, this is a trap. You can kind of do it when you need to. Say, because I'm relying on the Howling Insect and the Verdant Sanctuary, I don't want to take so much damage, or I might not want to. I mean, I could cycle through all my Howling Insects, or say if I need to, like I need to just set a Dragonfly or summon it. This at least can prevent me from getting destroyed. So this is kind of like the Threatening Roar because, again, Howling Insect, Verdant Sanctuary, Inzectors. Threatening Roar was not so much in Howling Insect, Verdant Sanctuary, but at least Inzector's Threatening Roar is something pretty important in that deck. And this, in a way, is kind of a substitute for it. I wanted to try 3, but again, sort of the only reason for this is to trigger the digital bugs effects. And again, since I'm using Inzectors in tandem with them, you won't always need these, but it can definitely help. So that's what I'm trying out. This is subject to change, and as I said, this is the first build that I'm trying out, and probably next week I'll be out with a different version. And then from there, just a Solemn Brigade, 2 strike, 1 warning. Again, you can mix this up different ways if you want, but like the reason you play warning is because it also stops normal summons too. Otherwise, I'd just be playing 3 strike, but I feel like this works out. That's all for the main deck. Onto the extra deck is all of your digital bug stuff. Now, these are really cool. I want to show you something. This is pretty much Tentomon. This is pretty much Kabuterimon. And this is pretty much Mega Kabuterimon. Like, you can't unsee that now. That's why I freaking love these. So 3 copies of Scaradiator. So, okay, it's like Scarab plus Radiator. but it's actually kind of cool because it's a dung beetle and he's actually freaking rolling a radiator instead of, I don't know, the design for this is really cool. So what he needs is 2 or more level 3 light insect type monsters, so that's a key thing. 2 or more. You can go ahead and summon this using any of, you know, the digital bugs here or the bocce, not the insectors because they have to be light. But again, if you happen to use all 3 of these on him, he gains all of the effects that these provide, so that's pretty neat. He does also have an effect that once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach 2 Xyz materials from this card, then target 1 monster your opponent controls, change its battle position, and if you do, it has its effects negated until the end of this turn. So that's crazy powerful. And then also has the effect that once per turn, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can attach that destroyed monster to this card as Xyz material. Now, sadly, this one is once per turn. Otherwise, if you happen to summon it with the Asura effect, then you can pretty much just take all your opponent's monsters. But that's a no. They foresaw that. So again, you know, summoning it with all 3 of these, you get some pretty neat effects. And you can go ahead and detach the materials because these guys give their effects when used as Xyz material on the summon of the Xyz monster, and it counts as a continuous effect or a trigger effect, I think it was. This one is continuous and it stays regardless of whether this has it as material or not. So again, you can go ahead and negate something, and it helps because you can switch something to defense, negate its effect, and then again, you can attack all defense position monsters. The defense becomes 0, and you get Armades. And, you know, if you summon it with bocce, you get some piercing battle damage. So that becomes really nice. And then from there is 3 digital bug Korabaj. Now, again, it's 2 or more level 5 light, but we're not really playing 5s in this deck. But it has the effect that you can also exceed some of this card by detaching 2 Xyz materials from a rank 3 or 4 Xyz insect type monsters. And then it, you know, it pretty much ranks up by itself. So you can go ahead and use Scaradiator. That I don't know. That's hard for me to say, but you can, you know, summon your Scarab, your Tentomon, and then rank up into Korabaj here or the Kabuterimon, and then it's got the effect that once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, then target 1 defense position monster you control, shuffle it into the deck, and then once per turn, if the battle position of a monster on the field is changed, you can attach 1 insect type monster from your graveyard to this card as Xyz material. So again, you can trigger that with Etika. So you have this on the field during your opponent's turn. Etika, it gets the effect, but it is only a once per turn, so you can take any of these and attach it. Now, sadly, it does not gain the effects that these guys provide because it has to be Xyz summoned using them. If you attach it just as material, then it doesn't gain the effect, but it still gives you just more fuel for more fuel for the other effect to shuffle 1 card. And again, you know, if you rank up this, say you rank up this with this has 2 materials, you rank up into this, then it's only going to have 1 material, this guy. So I mean, that helps because then you can attach another Xyz material, and then that lets you rank up into Mega Kabuterimon or the Rhinoceros. So this needs 2 or more level 7 light insect type monsters to summon, but of course you can summon it just ranking up a rank 5, so you can go from this one into that one into this one. Their names are getting weird. And then of course, you know, he gains their Xyz materials if they have any attached. And then his effect is that he inflicts piercing battle damage if he attacks a defense position monster. And then once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card and destroy the face-up monster your opponent controls with the highest defense. And then it can destroy all of them if tied. So if by chance you were able to get this effect off the web soldier to make them all 0, this guy can pretty much just obliterate all your opponent's monsters with 0 defense. So you can use web soldier to summon it. You can, if you happen to use 3 of these guys to summon Scaradiator, then you at least make all of their attack 0 or defense 0 if they're in defense position thanks to this. Then you can rank up into this, and since you have still have 2 materials, you can rank up into this one. Sorry, the names, and then you can go ahead and inflict piercing battle damage, and or, you know, if they stay around, or on top of that, the best part is they're all going to have 0 defense. So you can just destroy them all, attack for a nice 2,600 directly, and then that's not counting whatever else you manage to summon. This one, though, it does take a bit to get to, and like I said, if you summon this with the minimum Xyz materials, then you can only rank up into this one, and you'll have to use his effect to attach another material to rank up in order to rank up into this one, but you can still kind of pull it off. From there is just one Exa stag because you can still get some level 5s, and he's all right. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's like super good, but he's all right. You can still use him in this deck. And then from there, one Leviathan Dragon. I just use this because he's a basic detach. If if you need to summon something with a bit more attack than say anything else, and again, the all of your Inzectors, you can't use them to summon the Scare Radiator. I got it right. You can't use them to summon Tentomon because it needs level 3 light insect type monsters. So you can use it to summon something else like Leviathan Dragon. And Leviathan Dragon, when I back when I played it, the Howling Insect, Verdant Sanctuary, Inzectors, if I had a Call of the Haunted set, then Xyz, Shenanigans with Dragonfly, Xyz using Dragonfly, detach Dragonfly with this, and then Call the Haunted him back, and then keep doing stuff again. From there, it's also just 3 Giga Brilliant because Giga Brilliant is generic, and again, he has that nice effect that he's just you can just quick detach, and you can do that with Dragonfly. And because he's a light insect type monster, it helps. You can also honest him, but mostly because you can rank him up into Kabuterimon and Mega Kabuterimon. Sorry, I'm using the nicknames now. And after summoning him with this stuff, so it just helps out so much. And then from there, just one wind up Zen mains, and I actually think it should be over there or something. I needed some other rank 3. You can use anything else you want, but you can use whatever else you want, but like this just helps because I don't know, I just picked that. Anyway, that's all for the main and extra. These are just some stuff I want to go over. You can play a Blackluster Soldier because, hey, your deck is lights and then darks, and BLS is pretty good. Also, Gokipon, Gokipon has the effect that if it's destroyed by battle and sensitive graveyard, you can add one insect type monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. So, I mean, it's not as good as Howling Insect, but I will say that Gokipon combined with Verdant Sanctuary, you can search something off Gokipon's effect. And then since he's level 2, you can search out Max C's if you want to play Max C's in this build. That's the only thing. I wish that Verdant Sanctuary was you can add an insect type monster with that level or less. Otherwise, you could just play Max C in here and you have a way of searching it. In my original build of Inzector Howling or Verdant Inzectors, I would use Gokipons, but no, that's something to mention. Bug Matrix. This is the digital bug exclusive archetype or exclusive field spell. All insect type monsters gain 300 attack and defense, which you can use, and then also you can target one insect type monster you control. Insect type monster Xyz, and then attach one insect type monster from your hand to that monster as Xyz material. So it helps add more, but which again is helpful, but because it's a field spell and because I'm utilizing an Inzector version, I feel that it's not super helpful because I just rather get these guys and use my deck space on that. And again, using the Howling Insect Verdant Sanctuary. But in like a pure digital bug deck, Bug Matrix works pretty well. Then there's also the level limit area B. It changes all face-up level 4 or higher defense monsters to defense position, which again, you're playing all level 3s, and it's a good way to switch stuff to defense position to trigger effects. But like your opponent's not always going to have like level 4 or higher. They can get around this by summoning Xyz type monsters, and that's how you would get around it, by bringing out your big guns in Xyz fashion. But I mean, this is still all right. You can still use it if you want. I'm just using this because, again, I mentioned my reasons for playing this. I've seen some other people use rank up magics to, I guess, as a way to rank up easier into this because, again, you can make Mega Kabuterimon a lot easier by summoning this with 2 materials, auto rank up into this, and then use the, where is it? Oh yeah, use the Astral Force to rank up into this and have 2 materials. So some pretty neat stuff that you can do, but so again, Inzectors. Some people are also using Stumbling as a way to switch stuff to defense. Any monster that is normal summon, flip summon, or special summon is changed to defense position, which, I mean, that's all right, but like again, it affects your monsters too. So I don't know. I mean, you can destroy again. If you're playing Inzectors and you need destruction fodder, you can use that. I don't know. This one I don't agree. I really don't agree with. Temple of the Kings is something interesting because it lets you activate trap cards the turn you set them. So that's very helpful for Windstorm of Etika, again, being a trap card. Like, that's one way it's inferior to Level Limit Area B because it's a spell card and you can just use whenever you want. But again, Temple of the Kings, it helps because during your turn, set, activate. Oh, hey, all your stuff is switched to defense. And again, it helps with these because you can go ahead and set them that turn and get some pretty sick plays off. But I don't know. I like it's a little more gimmicky that way, but I don't know. Maybe I'll end up using it because again, it's good. But again, my deck space is it's fine. And then lastly, there's Quaking Mirror Force. And again, I was playing Quaking Mirror Force originally, but my like the reason I'm not playing it is because your opponent just doesn't have to attack in order to not trigger it. Like they just don't attack. It doesn't trigger this as where the Windstorm of Etika, it triggers it. You can trigger it, for your opponent and switch them to defense positions. And it also keeps it face up because then you can Web Soldier's effect only works on face ups. Even though you do set some monsters and say their effects are pretty much out of sight, out of mind, so it's nice. You can have a nice field day with your Inzectors and then just pop them all. But like the point of this is the point of like a defense position switching card is to have them for your digital bugs, and I feel that Web Soldier just having it face up, it works. It's a little better. And yeah, so that's all I wanted to talk about with this. There's some other stuff, and again, this is a build that I am working on. It still needs some work, still needs some more testing, and again, it's probably going to change within about a week when hopefully, no promises, but hopefully I can have a real life deck profile version. Anyway, this has been it for the digital bug deck profile and discussion. It's going to be a little bit more editing than I'm used to with these, but I hope you enjoyed it. I also want to remind you that I do have 2 other channels, a Pokemon channel and a personal channel where I guess I just put whatever I want. They're always linked in the description. They're always featured on my homepage. And when I remember, there are cards up in the top left, top right, your top right. Anyway, if you enjoyed the content, remember to subscribe. Also leave a like and a comment to show your support. Let me know how excited you are for digital bugs to Digivolve, and let me know what your favorite Digimon from the original or any series was in the comments below. Leave a like, and I don't know. I was gonna say like 30 likes and I'll sing the Digimon theme song, but you'll only know that if you stuck around this long. Anyway, this has been King of Pharaoh Imps. Have a nice day. Light insect type monsters, and you won't always timed out due to inactivity. How could you?